Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, we are Group 8. We would like to present our discussion about the connection between assessment and lesson plan. First of all, I would like to introduce the members of our team. I am Rizal Ramadhani as moderator, and the next one is Rusi Handiani as the first speaker, and Retno Astagina as the last speaker. By the end of this video, we hope that you understand the importance of assessment in identifying learning needs as well as monitoring student progress. Now, let's turn to the first part of our presentation, which is about what is assessment. Assessment is an activity to identify student learning needs, track the student's development, and gather evidence to evaluate the achievement of learning goals. Then, this assessment should be both valid and reliable. We come to the next point, the purpose of assessment. The purpose of assessment is closely tied to how it supports effective teaching and learning. There are some key purposes of assessment aligned with the principle that we have learned. First, measuring learning outcomes. Assessment is used to determine whether students have achieved the learning objective in lesson plan. This includes understanding concepts, critical thinking, and applying skills. Second, providing constructive feedback. Assessment provides valuable information to students about their progress. This feedback helps them to identify their strengths, weaknesses, and areas that need improvement. Third, facilitate continuous learning. In the principles of teaching, assessment is seen as a part of continuous learning process, not just the final step. Formative assessment, for example, allows students to improve their understanding before the final evaluation. Fourth, improving teaching quality. Assessment helps teachers evaluate the effectiveness of our instructional methods. By analyzing assessment results, teachers can adjust our teaching strategies, materials, and delivery methods. Fifth, encouraging students' self-regulated learning. Assessment supports the development of independent learning skills through formative assessment and self-assessment. Students are encouraged to reflect on their learning process and take responsibility for their own progress. The last one is identifying individual needs. In differentiated instruction, assessment helps teachers understand its students' needs and skill levels, allowing them to tailor teaching to different learning styles and developmental stages. So, that is all about what is assessment and the purpose of the assessment on teaching and learning process. The next presentation will be delivered by Rusi Handiani.
Types of assessment. Number 1. Assessment as learning is assessment as reflection of the learning process. For example, students reflect on their learning or peer assess after a project to develop self-awareness of their learning process. Number 2. Assessments for learning is assessment for repairing the learning process. For example, a short quiz during the lesson to check students' understanding and adjust teaching accordingly. Number 3. Assessments of learning is assessments of evaluation in the last part of the learning process. For example, a final exam at the end of the semester to measure students' achievements after the learning process is complete. Needs. First, students' learning needs are understanding individual gaps in knowledge, preferred learning style, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and areas where they require additional support. For example, a Students struggling with math may need extra practice with foundational concepts before moving to more complex topics. Number 2, students' development needs are enhancing critical thinking, problem-solving skill, and social-emotional development to help students become independent learners and responsible individuals. For example, a student may need to improve collaboration skill by engaging in group work to build teamwork abilities. Teachers need. Number 1, teachers' learning needs are professional development to stay current with new teaching methods, tools, and strategies that address diverse classroom needs, such as differentiated instruction and inclusive teaching practice. For example, a teacher may need training in using technology effectively in the classroom or strategies to support students with learning disabilities. Number 2, teachers' development needs are continuous improvement in the classroom management, communication skill, and reflective practice to adapt teaching methods to meet the changing needs of students. For example, a teacher may need coaching to develop better ways to manage a classroom with students who have varying attention spans or learning paces. Materials. At school, we found that teachers taught descriptive text material in page E of class 10. The learning objective is to first analyze the social function, text structure, and linguistic elements of a descriptive text in groups. The second is to find detailed information related to descriptive text in groups. And finally, concluding the contents of the descriptive text with simple sentences and using your own sentences independently. Test design. Teachers provide two types of assessments, namely diagnostic assessment and formative assessment. In the diagnostic assessment, the teacher provides direct trigger questions by asking about places or objects around the students to direct them about the material to be discussed. Then, in the second assessment, the teacher provides a formative assessment, namely a written test in the form of a student's worksheet to test students' understanding of the social function, text structure, and linguistic elements of a descriptive text.
Reflection on lesson plan assessment based on understanding by design principles. First is learning objectives or goals. This lesson plan already has clear learning objectives that students can analyze and communicate descriptive text. This is in accordance with the UBD principles, which emphasize that the teacher must have a clear end goal. However, to make it more effective, learning objectives can be focused more deeply on critical understanding, such as analyzing and understanding the deeper meaning of the text. Next, determining assessment evidence. This lesson plan used group discussions, individual assignments, and reflections as a way to assess student understanding, which is in accordance with UBD principles. This evaluation can be better if it is supplemented with projects that encourage students to produce real work, such as making a video or presentation that describes something. This helps assess deeper and more practical understanding. Last, planning learning activities. This lesson plan used the think, pair, share method and video-based text analysis, which is enough to actively involve students. However, to be more in the line with UBD principles, learning can be more focused on independent exploration and real application. For example, students can be asked to describe objects or places around them so they can directly connect with their life. Okay, last, for the instrument suitability, according to our group, the instruments used are in accordance with the basic competencies to be achieved, namely students' ability to analyze, communicate, and identify elements in descriptive text. A Apart from that, the assessment rubric prepared is detailed and covers function aspects of the text as well as students' language skills. This assessment also allows objective assessment because there are clear criteria for each aspect measured. For our suggestion, the assessment rubric is quite clear but can be further improved to assess students' critical thinking and creativity in processing descriptive text. Well, that brings us to the end of the presentation. We hope you found it helpful. Thank you for your time and attention. Leave comments and subscribe. Thank you guys. See you.